We're about to see a lot of severe weather over the next few days, including some potential for some severe weather on Memorial Day weekend. So I'm going to be talking about what you need to know about your Memorial Day weekend forecast. So let's get right into it. It is Sunday, May 24th, 2026, and we have two areas to watch for potential severe weather today. I'm going to be going over your Memorial Day weekend forecast. So as you can see here, you can see that there's a general risk, which is this more lighter green that goes around all these green little things right here. And in those areas, we do have a potential just for some normal thunderstorms, maybe some gusty winds inside of that general risk. But that's a level 0 out of 5. But then we get to our level 1 out of 5, where we could be seeing some isolated severe weather out here in the southeast. So if you're out there, parts of the southeast today, you guys do want to be staying prepared and make sure you have a way to get alerts, as there could be some severe weather today. There's also going to be a chance for some severe weather out here in parts of the plains. And keep in mind, even if we don't have severe weather, just normal thunderstorms can be pretty serious. So definitely, if you hear thunder, go indoors. And definitely have a way to receive alerts today if you're out in some of these areas. We do have a potential for an isolated tornado. If the storms do form, they could and become mature, right? They could produce a chance for some tornadoes, as well as some damaging winds within these areas out here, and some potential for large to very large hail. Again, if those storms form, they could produce some large to very large hail. And then out here in the southeast, we're mainly looking at a chance for some damaging winds. And then for tomorrow, on Monday, we're going to have another, it's not going to be that crazy, but we're going to have another general risk for mainly just some thunderstorms out here in a big chunk of the United States. So if you're out here having Memorial Day plans, Monday, definitely be aware for some thunderstorms that could be happening out here in these parts of the United States. When thunder roars, go indoors. And on Tuesday, we'll have another severe weather threat. We got one up here in parts of Montana, and then another one down here in parts of Texas. So we're definitely going to be watching Sunday very closely. The Storm Prediction Center actually issued a level 2 out of 5 slight risk out here. So that's definitely going to be something that we got to watch very closely here. Checking out the future radar for today. This is the future radar for today. We'll start with the future radar for today. You can see here, if we push up the future radar, we don't know if storms are going to form out here in the parts of the plains. So we're going to check out the plains. We'll go to some of the other areas, but you can see we're going to have some storms start to form out here. And then those will kind of push through, but we don't know if they are going to form. If they do form, they could produce some damaging winds, hail, and maybe even an isolated brief spin-up tornado. I don't think the tornadoes will be anything too crazy. I think they'll just be weak tornadoes. But it looks like the storms have a decent potential to form, and I think if we do get storms to form, it'll probably be around 3 p.m. Eastern. So we're definitely got to be watching those very closely. And then down here in the southeast, you can see this is the storms that we could be seeing down here. Down here, we know that the storms are likely going to form. You can see down here we're going to have some storms push through those areas, producing damaging winds and hail. If you have Memorial Day plans down here today, definitely be sure you're having a way to get alerts. And then I know that we have the Indy 500, and if we switch over to the feature radar out there for the Indy 500, you guys, if you're like tuning in or if you're going to the Indy 500, it's likely going to be raining out there, so I wouldn't be surprised if they canceled that. So we'll see, but I think it's going to be raining out there in the Indy 500 because it starts around noon, I think. So I think it's going to be raining out there. So yeah, and we're also and you can see all these thunderstorms that we're going to have out here in Ohio Valley today. This is going to lead to some potential for even some flooding today out here. So if you have Memorial Day plans out here in Ohio Valley, definitely be aware for potential flooding and some gusty winds. And if you're going in the Indy 500, also that could get canceled as there's going to be some rain coming in. So definitely be sure you're having way to get alerts if you're out in these areas. And then for tomorrow on Monday, you can see that if we push up the feature radar for tomorrow on Monday, we're also going to have some thunderstorms out here in parts of the south and in parts of the Ohio Valley. So if you're kind of in these areas out here, definitely, if you're out there tomorrow, definitely be aware for some thunderstorms and stuff, maybe a few gusty winds. We're also going to have some of these storms continuing out here in the southwest tomorrow, so we're also going to be watching that very closely. Then up here in the Pacific Northwest tomorrow, we're going to have a storm system come in with that low pressure system, and that's going to bring some potential for flooding, I would say, and maybe some gusty winds, but we're going to get some of those storms up there. And then we also might have some storms pop up out here in northern Iowa tomorrow on Monday. That could also, those things look like they'll be popping up a little bit more towards like 11 p.m. Eastern. So, yeah, if you have Memorial Day plans tomorrow, Monday, also be sure you're having a way to get alerts and go indoors if you hear any thunder. Here's the Rufus A model. This model tends to be sometimes incorrect, but you can see here, and it kind of over convects a little bit. It has like a little bit, like a lot of storms popping up. But this we might not have this much storms on Tuesday, but this is for Tuesday's future radar. We went over today's and tomorrow's future radar, but this is for Tuesday. You can see we had that risk out here in parts of Texas on Tuesday. You can see we're gonna have some storms kind of push through the area, so we're definitely gotta be watching that very closely. These storms, I wouldn't rule out maybe an isolated tornado, but I think damaging winds and some large to very large hail is gonna be the main concern out here in parts of Texas on Tuesday. And then going up into Montana on Tuesday, we also do have a severe weather threat out here, as we're gonna have some storms pop up out there. So that's also gonna be something that we gotta be watching very closely. We'll rule out maybe an isolated brief spin of tornado. I don't think that's gonna be too big of a concern. I would say mainly damaging winds and hail. And you might want to know what's driving all this severe weather. Well, what's driving all this severe weather is actually a dip in the jet stream. You can see here we got a dip in the jet stream out here, and that's going to be leading to that severe weather potential in parts of the northern plains today. And you could just see that dip in jet stream here, kind of those blues, and they have like a dipping look. And you can see if we push this up some more, that dip in the jet stream will move out. So that's what's going to be causing that severe weather potential out there in parts of the plains. And then you can see here, we're going to have this storm system up here in the Pacific Northwest, and that's why we're having all those thunderstorms up there in the Pacific Northwest, because we're having a storm system move into those areas. And that's going to push a lot of rain into those areas. So, yeah. So let's talk about some of the severe weather. It's going to be a little bit more far out than some of our other more detailed models are. This is the GFS model. It's not as detailed as some of our other models with how detailed the storms look, but you can see here pushing it up past Tuesday. On Wednesday, we went rule out a lot of rain out there. I mean, we're just going to have a lot of rain in the United States over the next few days, so yeah, even on Wednesday, we're going to have some rain out there. We're out maybe a small severe weather potential, maybe in eastern Texas and southern Texas areas on Wednesday, so that's going to be something to be watching. And then pushing us up some more, you can see it's going to be fairly quiet. Going to be pretty quiet over the next, I think, even like the rest of May and parts of early June. I think it's going to be pretty quiet. I think we are going to have some severe weather chances, but probably just not that significant. So that's kind of what's going on. But you can see here, we're going to have some storms pop up and still continue out there. And one thing that I'm watching is a potential for tropical development. Okay, we're watching a potential for tropical development in the Caribbean, and that is out here. Let me show you guys. You can see we might see some tropical development out here in the Caribbean, and that could potentially impact parts of Florida, so we're definitely going to be watching this development. We don't completely know if it is going to develop, but it could start impacting parts of the United States. I would say southern Florida. I don't think it's going to be anything too crazy. It's likely going to relieve some of the drought. I don't think it's going to be anything too crazy. So late May, we're definitely watching for potential tropical development out there. And you can see here, the Caribbean Ocean actually has decently warm waters out there around that time, so it's going to be favorable for some tropical development. And we're not going to have too much wind shear. So we definitely got to be watching for some potential tropical development out there in the Caribbean. But I don't think it's going to be anything too crazy, but I'll keep an eye on it for you guys. And make sure to stay tuned if you live out there in parts of southern Florida. And we do have a chance for some fire weather tomorrow on Monday. If you have any plans for Memorial Day in parts of northwestern Nevada, southeastern Oregon, or southwestern Idaho, or northeastern California, over there on Monday, you guys do need to be staying prepared for potentially some fire weather. So definitely be aware and don't be throwing your cigarette out of the window. Before we end things off, I do want to talk about some of the temperatures that we could be seeing over the next few days, including over Memorial Day. I do think it's going to be pretty nice out there for a lot of places in Memorial Day, but of course the rain is going to make it not the best. But for today on Sunday, I think out here towards the west and parts of the plains, I think this is going to be the best area for Memorial Day plans and stuff, and outdoor plans and anything like that. But I think out here, I think it's still going to be pretty nice towards the east. But I do think we'll have some areas of some more cold temperatures and a lot of rain out there. So that's kind of what we're looking at with the temperatures. And then for tomorrow, I do think it's going to be pretty nice out here, especially out here in parts of the northern plains. I think out there it's going to be really nice. But towards the eastern half of the United States, I do think it's going to be pretty cold tomorrow. I don't think it's going to be that cold, but I do think it's going to be cooler than usual. Not here in the southwest, I do think it's also going to be cooler than usual for tomorrow. So, yeah. And these are kind of the places that we could be seeing some nice weather today. See a big chunk of the United States. It's going to be pretty nice out there. You can see here, it says at the very top of the screen, you can see what the conditions are and stuff. But you can see out here in parts of Missouri all the way up to southwestern Wisconsin, that's going to be the main area that we're watching for very nice weather today. And then tomorrow we're also going to be watching some nice weather out there and within these areas. And that's pretty much all I got for you in today's video. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe. Make sure you're staying weather aware. Stay tuned as I will be giving updates on the potential for tropical development. And I will see you in the next weather update video. Have a wonderful day. And if you have any suggestions, make sure to drop it down in the comments. And I'll see you in the next one.